other than the cold-blooded regulator, long-shot Hunter Drago. "Never heard of the man," Cable said, staring out the long, narrow window right of the door. The tall stranger had moved up onto the stoop and, having removed his hat, was washing his face at the washstand, soaping and splashing the water in his face and shaking his head, making his long black hair fly. He lifted his head to wash his neck, then lowered it to wash the back of it, gritting his teeth. "Never met him neither," Cable continued. "If I had, I'd remember. I'd remember meeting some hombre who looks like he does, sure enough." "Who the hell is long-shot Hunter Drago?" Toad wanted to know, blowing smoke out his nostrils. Still leaning forward over the table, Lucky sleeved beer foam from his mouth and said, "Regulator. One of the nastiest cold-blooded killers in the West. They say he killed 27 men, mostly working for big ranchers in land wars against nesters or rival ranchers. 27 men. Shot some of them from 400 yards out with a Sharps rifle. That's why they call him Longshot. Last I seen, there was a $2,000 reward on his head, dead or alive." Lucky nodded meaningfully to punctuate the sentence. Toad stuck the quirly in his thin-lipped mouth again, puffed, and said, "So, what are you suggesting? Want to keep working for old man Walsh, taking his abuse and eating the slop he called grub?" Lucky smiled enticingly. "Or you want to pad out your pockets and head down to Mexico?" Cable looked at Lucky and, keeping his voice down, said, "So, what are you suggesting?" He stopped abruptly as the front door opened. He turned to see the tall, black-clad stranger step through the door, ducking a little and holding his hat. When he closed the door, he turned to the room, took a few seconds to set his hat carefully on his head, took a few more seconds to appraise and then disregard the 4 obvious cowpunchers sitting at the table before him, then headed for the plankboard bar beyond them. Ma Howard stood behind the bar, a stout, brown-haired woman with a doughy face, mean eyes, and wearing an apron around her considerable waist. There were only 2 other customers, 2 Mexican punchers sitting at a table against the far wall, drinking tequila and playing cribbage. There'd been 3, but the third one had paid his 6 bits to Ma Howard and gone upstairs to have his ashes hauled by one of Ma's fat whores. Cable followed the tall stranger with his gaze. As though feeling eyes on him, the man stopped suddenly and glanced back over his shoulder. Again, the man caught Cable's eye with that uncomfortably probing one of his own. Again, he quirked that knowing smile then, glancing at Toad and Lucky, pinched his hat brim and continued to the bar. He doffed his hat, set it on the bar, and ran a hand back through his long, thick black hair. "Name your poison, mister," Ma Howard said in her pinched-up, flat-toned voice. "Whiskey," he said, and slapped his hand down on the bar. The loud, sharp crack made the 3 drovers jump in their chairs, then look toward the bar. They exchanged sheepish looks and grinned with embarrassment. "What do you have to eat?" Drago asked the woman as she set a shot glass on the bar and pried the cork from an unlabeled bottle. "Chili and bread," the woman said, splashing liquor into the shot glass. "That's all I ever have, chili and bread. It's good, too," Lucky Brocious offered over his left shoulder. Drago turned his jade eye on him. "Is that a fact?" "It is a fact. Ma's bread's good, too." "Are you vouching for it?" Drago asked Lucky with an odd, sort of vaguely menacing smile. Lucky hesitated, colored a little. Sure.